Ja, and thank you for that good introduction. I missed who that drum group was at the start because we were having trouble with our audio, our video here. But very good song, and thank you very much, everybody, for sticking around for Native Nations. I'm David Liberty. Our April program is coming up right now. I want to introduce my guest, Quincy Davis, also known as Soul Miner.
Thank you.
Stage name. Quincy, thanks a lot for being here tonight.
Thank you for having me.
Appreciate it.
I'm grateful to be here.
Now, Quincy is involved with a lot of different programs and projects, and we're going to be showing some video work that he's done later on in the show. But first, we want to get to know our guest a little better, and we're going to talk to Quincy here for a little bit. Quincy, you're from Portland, right?
Yep.
You grew up here in this area?
Yep. Born and raised Southeast Portland.
Now, but your life has taken some turns in the short time you've been here on this earth, right?
Yeah.
I heard that you were a dealer, a drug dealer at one time in your life. Is that true?
Yeah, that's true.
Oh,
I went through a time in my life, a certain lifestyle, I would say. And I wouldn't say that I, went very, I was like a big time dealer or anything like that. But I was definitely influenced by first hip hop culture and my friends at the time who were getting deeper involved in a certain lifestyle. And I would say I was searching for an identity, like who am I, what am I doing?
Everybody does that.
Right. And so at a certain time in my life, a certain age, I went into this lifestyle, influenced, like I said, it had to do with being a hustler, lifestyle of a hustler, so-called.
Wow.
Mm-hmm.
Well, I can't really relate to that, but I've heard about it, Quincy. But we don't want to concentrate on that. We want to know how you changed your life. How did you turn yourself around? What was the trigger that got you on the path that you're on now?
Yeah, well, I mean, just what comes to mind thinking back in that time of my life. I mean, it got to a point, I would say it was a dark time of my life, and it got to a point where, there was a near-death experience. And in that, I just knew that it was like I felt like I had a choice, in that moment. I had a choice whether to live or not. And it was that point where, you could say rock bottom, where I started to, I got to take more responsibility for, my life. Now that I've made this choice, like, what am I really doing? And so from there, it was a long, slow process. But, maybe it wasn't slow in the big scheme of things, but I would say that I began to seek out, a spiritual connection in different forms. And I, began to be committed to sobriety, stop drinking alcohol, and stop, doing drugs. And I've been sober for, over 3 years now, 3.5 years. So, and that's something that I'm committed to.
Great.
So, yeah, it was, and then from there, like I said, the spiritual path is what I was drawn towards, and is what I am on now, I would say.
Very good. Well, what direction did this path, what started, or how did you get going on that path? Was it a person or something else that influenced you?
Yeah, there was, when I went to a AA meeting with my friend at the time, I was supporting her because she had gotten a DUI, and so I didn't think that I had a problem with alcohol or anything. So, someone asked me at this meeting, when's your sober date or whatever, and I was like,
tomorrow.
Well, I thought at first I was going to be like, well, I'm just supporting my friend, but then I thought about it, and it happened to be my birthday. And this was like a week after my birthday or something. So for whatever reason, the fact that it was my birthday, it felt like, maybe I can see how long I can go being sober. And so that ended up being, 6 months or something, and without drinking. And actually, I haven't even done any drugs since then.
All right.
Yes. And so from there, that was one element. And then I also got connected with some friends of mine who were actually Christians. So there was that, and then I was influenced by Buddhism, and then I was reading books, the Dalai Lama. I started seeking knowledge, I would say. I started to connect with this teacher who makes documentary films, and I'll mention his name. His name is Lennon Honor, and he's online, and he has this whole metaphysical way of looking at life, and also what he taught is how to break down media, deconstructing media, and especially in the hip hop and the entertainment industry. So that was another element that really influenced me, starting to see, programming and what things that I had gone through in my life could be a result of, this, what you could say, media manipulation, in this society, having to do with brainwash, conditioning, and stuff like that.
Oh, yeah, I see it a lot. That people that I call the perfect consumer, everything they see on TV, they'll follow the ads and buy what it tells them to buy. And instead of planning for the future, just buy every day, just get your food, and don't worry about tomorrow. I'm really concerned about the culture of America because of the influence of the media.
Right.
I think it's really taking us away from our inside ourselves, that we don't have to look inside ourselves anymore because we've got this screen and these images that tell us what's going on inside of us, supposedly. So it gets us out of the burden of doing that thinking ourselves or working on ourselves. So definitely. I have problems with media, even though here we are on TV tonight.
Turn off your TV right after this show.
Right after this show. But there are some good things about television, and there's good programming, documentaries, and it's out there if you look for it.
Definitely. And documentaries were really influential on me as well.
Yeah.
I mean, like I was saying, it was a whole teaching process. A lot of it was through media. So, yeah.
Now, what about the Native American spirituality? How has that affected you?
Yeah, well, I remember I read this book, Black Elk Speaks, at a certain time in my life, and I was visiting actually Ohio at the time, which is a powerful area. There's certain areas around there, such as the mounds, where there's a power spot. So I felt a connection with the earth at that time, and I was starting to understand these teachings, or understand ceremony a little bit. And then from there, I connected with John Trudell's work, who has been probably one of my biggest influences of any teacher.
Have you met John Trudell?
I have.
Oh, great.
Yeah, and it was a blessing to connect with him.
Yeah.
This was last summer, and I actually interviewed him for a documentary, which I'm working on.
Oh.
And that's a documentary with different elders, wisdom keepers, and that it's in process. We'll see.
Very good. And I understand from your website that you were influenced by the Sweat Lodge.
Oh yes.
Tell us about that.
Changed my life. So I was invited. So I saw this another very influential teacher was named Larry Merkuliev, and he's from the Aleutian Islands near Alaska, and he came to PSU to speak. This was 3 years ago or so, and it was there. I mean, that was a very influential talk for me, and it was there that I connected with a Sweat Lodge community, and was invited to my first Sweat Lodge. And I didn't know, it just felt right to go, and that is something that totally, changed my life and set me on a certain path. One of the most influential experiences of my life, very important.
Yeah.
Healing, cleansing, detoxing, and getting down to my heart, and understand what I'm here to do, my purpose.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, the Sweat House. Well, we call it a Sweat House back home on the Umatilla Res. It's not Sweat Lodge. If you say Sweat Lodge, they say, "What are you, from the Midwest or something? It's a sweat house." It doesn't matter what you call it. We call them sweat houses.
An EP.
And we're returning. You go into the sweat house backwards.
Huh.
Because when you came out of your mother, you came out head first. So when you go into the sweat house, you go in backwards and you return to the mother. So that's just part of the teachings that I know about the sweat house. And you were actually, when you're in the sweat house, you were in the womb of the mother, our Mother Earth. And it's a great time of cleansing and thanksgiving. And most of the prayers are prayers of thanksgiving. In the sweat house.
Gratitude.
Yeah.
Definitely.
Yeah. So I don't think I've ever heard anybody ask for anything. Like you hear commonly with the Christian prayers, you know, they're asking for all these blessings and different things. And that's kind of a difference I see between the two groups, faith groups.
Definitely.
But
I feel that, you know, it's like asking like, please help me with something as if it's something external of me, rather than thank you, you know, for this life, and thank you for everything that we've been given. You know, it's like you're sending that vibration out into the universe, you know. It's very powerful.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, I love the sweat house, and I've had some great experiences, and it creates a real brotherhood, too, among the men who are in the sweat house.
Definitely.
That carries on forever.
Definitely. So. My first lodge house was a men's lodge.
You can call it lodge, it's okay.
Yeah.
But
definitely.
Before we use up too much time on the interview, we do want to show one of the videos. We've brought 3 or 4 videos, right?
Right.
So let's go on ahead and tell us about the first one you want us to show.
Yeah, I think that EPK, Electronic Press Kit video, will be a good one to show first.
Okay.
And I think it'll be some footage of me speaking with students at Grant High School. I went and visited and did a little sharing about what I do and led a workshop, poetry workshop. So, and then also I collaborated on a music album with the students, amazingly talented.
Right.
Yeah, I was just there doing my part, but they produced the track, and then they wrote the song, and then I rapped it. And it was a whole compilation.
Wow. Did it include musical instruments or just voice?
There was all different types of music on this compilation album. Some students did acoustic, like one girl did it was just guitar and voice. Ours was electronic, it was hip hop, so it was all electronically created. But very versatile album, all different styles.
Good. Well, is that going to be on the video?
We'll see some footage, behind the scenes footage of that.
Okay, very good. Well, let's go ahead and run that if it's up and ready to go, and we'll see some of the work that our guest Quincy has been doing.
It's a message to the universe from a man in the flesh. The bottom understand the meaning, yet the answer is yes. Yes, we ready for the change. Yes, we breaking out the chains in these shadows of life. I'm killing highs when I battle with mics. Destruction, creation, when death is a matter of life. It's dedicated to my people down to fight. For real, my people down to dream. And my people down to build. To my people on the scene. We bring reality to the ceremony. Earn the title MC. Thank the Jesus for the reason I can see. And I thank the trees for the reason I can breathe. And I thank the earth and the mothers of our seeds and my women. It's important at this time to remember what is real power. And we know that real power comes from inside, each one of us as individuals. This invisible maze in this matrix of lies. At night we make moves with the stars in the skies. Guided by above, the real revolutionaries guided by love. My people in the blood that travel my veins. My lineage is deep like the Huns when they travel the plains. Now word is my weapon and these lyrics just hit me. Cause the ancestor warrior spirit is with me.
Very good. Those kids have talent. And if somebody wanted to see the entire video of that, where could they go to see it?
Of the
kid, the one that the kids did?
Oh, well, they can get the album. I don't know exactly where, but it's called Grant Voices.
Oh.
I don't know if they have a website up right now. I think they're still working on getting it onto iTunes.
Oh, so the high school did
The CD.
CD.
Yeah.
Cool.
That's where, so if you Google search Grant, Portland, Grant Voices 2013, I think you'll find it. And we're doing it again this year.
And how about any other schools?
Uh,
Going to any other high schools?
I went to Cleveland High School. That's where I went to high school, so it's cool to go back.
Great.
And I showed a documentary that I created and talked about it.
Uh-huh.
So just those two schools at this point, but I'm planning to do more. I intend to do more work presenting these projects and leading teaching, ways to apply the teachings in these documentaries.
So this documentary that you've completed, right? You've got one that's done.
Yeah.
Tell us about that.
That's a documentary called Subconscious War, and I created it in 2011. This was very influenced by John Trudell's teachings, and also the teacher I mentioned before, Lennon Honor. He's who deconstructs media, and it's basically a documentary that does that. It looks at our society and the influence of media as a powerful force for controlling people, through the psyche, especially young people, through entertainment. So it kind of, what it was influenced by was, are you familiar with WikiLeaks, the helicopter footage video?
Oh, man. I could not believe it. I saw that video.
Right.
They were practically innocent. And wasn't there a journalist and cameraman or something in the group too?
Yeah, they were journalists.
Yeah, that was really hard to see.
Right. For me too. And when I first saw that, that was what sparked me to realize that I had to do something, that I had this opportunity living in America, having a computer, being able to edit video. I have these opportunities, so I feel like I need to do something. This is being done, with my tax money,
Yeah, we're paying for it.
So I saw that video, and I wanted to do something that had to do with the war, to maybe reveal some things that are in the dark for a lot of people in America. And so I asked myself, what would people be doing in the same moment that this is taking place in Iraq or Afghanistan? It's like, what are Americans doing? Most likely, Americans are watching TV or playing video games, young people. And so I, innocently was like, okay, well, let me turn on the TV and record it and see what's going on there. And from that footage, I started to make these connections to what was going on in reality with the war and what people my age were playing war video games all the time. So I just was like, what's going on here? This is interesting. And so I started to make the connection. And then that got into deconstructing media and seeing how, and then that gets into John Trudell talking about how our energy is being mined for the machine. And
well, I have a book recommendation I'd like to give you.
Please.
Quincy. and for our viewers too. A guy named Renard Strickland was the dean of the law school down at the University of Oregon, and he gave up his position to go back into teaching. Renard Strickland is a great guy. He's from one of the Southeast tribes. And he wrote a book called Tonto's Revenge. And he deconstructs the media as to how they deal with Indian people. Specifically, he's dealing with the movies, John Ford's old John Wayne and all those old westerns that didn't show Indian people in a very good light, to say the least. And Renard does a great job of going over the different films and genres and how Indian people were treated. And then at the end, he just says, this has to stop, we got to do, it has to be a new way. We have to present Indian people in an accurate depiction. And it's an excellent book regarding Native people and the media. Tonto's Revenge, Dr. Renard Strickland, professor at the University of Oregon. I highly recommend his book.
Nice.
So
thank you.
Yeah, it right relates just to what you're doing.
Yeah.
So I think you would be good to read that book.
Yeah.
What do you know if John Trudell is coming to town anytime soon? We'd sure like to get him on the show.
I don't know. I don't know for sure, but I don't think so. I mean, he came for Hemp Fest recently. This was last summer.
Yeah.
That's when I met with him. I can't recall, but I feel like there is another event coming up. But off the top of my head, I don't remember.
Okay.
But I hope so.
Yeah, we'll let you know if he's coming to town. We'll make the announcement here and try and get everybody out to see him. So we're going to go to break here. We're about at the bottom of the hour. But during our break, we're going to be showing your video.
Music video.
The music video, yeah. Yes. Tell us about that one.
So this is a music video called What's Going On. And it has John Trudell's, it has his words at the beginning and in the middle. You'll hear his teachings. And it's a video that me and a friend shot at Occupy Portland. And it was the day that Occupy got evicted.
Oh.
And so you'll see, I don't want to say too much, you'll see for yourself, but it's basically a song that I wrote about a year before Occupy. And it was around the time that I finished that documentary, and it talks about media and talks about these things that we're talking about. And it was about a year later that everything that I had talked about in the song, it kind of made perfect sense to what was taking place. When we see the shadows revealed of the police state, for example. So then we just happened to go down there and document while I rap this verse. So enjoy.
Very good, and it involved the Portland police, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, they're almost the stars of the video.
It seems like they wanted to be.
Yeah, they weren't hiding their faces or anything, were they?
Yeah, it was fun.
So we'll take a break and show you the music video that Soul Miner has brought us here tonight. So. Lord.
Or the things that are held up in these esteems, none of these things seem to have any spiritual relationship to life.
Yeah. In times and situations heavy on my heart, still I rise. Articulate my vision while you feel the vibe. In this manipulation game, it seems I'm ill-advised from killing lies and finally realize it's real lives that bleed. But do we feel they rise? Our dreams televised, tell us lies and kill what's real inside. To breed systematic soldiers spraying rounds with no precision. Motivation, motivation, globalism, no religion. It seems unspoken, television, culture, vision. Protecting broken dreams like codes in prison. Selecting vote elections, but won't connect the dots. Self-deception, like followers of pro wrestle plots. Complain you best stop when this game of chess lot. They think they're next to God, police they check the blocks. Invested stocks, dollars drop, then commence the cops. Real revolutionaries know the struggle never stop. Real revolutionaries know
The way that the cancers of greed and war, the way that these viruses, these diseases have spread, and no one is really taking responsibility
What's going on?
to effectively deal with these things.
We're the real revolutionaries, real revolutionaries. Hypnotized by the shadow play in front of your eyes. The systematic programming, one with the high energy, predatorial abduction of minds. This seduction in the matrix, put trust in the lies of these elitists. Mass manipulators lead the people. I see the codes like Neo, hungry ghosts feed the ego and live lost. Forget to realize what the real is. Rick Ross used to be a prison guard, and he still is. Until the killers and the $100 billers who ain't got no feelings, we recognize what the deal is. We're swallowing that blue pill and following Masons, feeding in to the new form of colonization. For some bread and a place up in the matrix. Think you got it all figured out, cause there nothing is safe. I don't respect you cause I don't respect the system. I got visions of freedom cause I won't accept the prison. Visions, freedom, cause I'm
So whatever this disease of aggression and violence and greed and all, whatever this disease mentality is that lives in this life system now, it's eating up the spirit of the diseased. When we leave as humans, we go back to being human being. That really means something. But we live in a reality now, we're in a time where I would say to anyone, protect your spirit. Protect your spirit because you're in the place where spirits get eaten.
And we are back. Thank you for watching Native Nations. This is our April program. I'm David Liberty with our guest Quincy Davis. And we will talk about the video, but first I have a few announcements we've got to make about some events that are happening in and around the greater Portland area. And I know we've got these same handouts we can display on the screen if we can get it worked up there. A Day with Howard Rainier. He's at Talos Pueblo Creek. His presentation will be Native Pride means, what does it mean to you? Make Native Pride a reality, not just talk. This is happening tomorrow night, everybody. So it's at the NARA Youth Center, 12360 East Burnside. It's intended for youth ages 13 through 24. And you can go to, they have Catherine Walker as the contact there, but to RSVP by April 14th, you're a little late. So that's coming right up, A Day with Howard Rainier. Or Renier, I'm not sure how you pronounce that one. And let's see, also the 18th is College Day. The event is for Native American and Alaska Natives middle school students. This is at the Native American Community Center, and I think we have a poster for this too. That's at 710 Southwest Jackson Street at 9 in the morning. So get up early tomorrow at the Native American Community Center. Sorry we didn't give you a longer heads up on that, but we only show once a month, so we're kind of limited as to what we can present. But here's a good one. The next one coming up is Change the Name Erskines, the Native American Mascots and Perpetuation of Stereotypes. This is a presentation at Reed College. This is a part of their Vine Deloria lecture series. And their speakers this year will be, and you can see it on the poster we've got, if we can get that up on screen, Greg Deal, Seada Edmo, Cornell Piwiwardi, Charlene Teeters, Adrian Keene. That's the Tribal Knowledge Bowl. That's the next one. Anyway, this also includes Native American dancing and drumming. Will be Thursday, April 24th, Reed College campus, 4:30 at Elliott Hall. There it is. Yeah, that's the one. The Vine Deloria Jr. Lecture Series is happening every year, so they've had some great speakers for this event. So if you can make it to that one, please do. Okay, the Tribal Knowledge Bowl. You saw the flyer for that one. That's happening May 24th at the Native American Student and Community Center here in Portland, Oregon. Come to the Portland State University Tribal Knowledge Bowl and compete against other students in a game of trivia and have a chance to take home a Knowledge Bowl medal and pride rights. On-site registration accepted. And we've got information. Contact Cornell Pee Wee Wardy. If you slide that down, we can see the bottom of the sheet, and we'll get that contact information. It has his email, cornellp@pdx.edu. That sounds like fun. Tribal Knowledge Bowl. I like the idea. And I mentioned the last show that Saturday is the Chief Red Heart Memorial Ceremony at Fort Vancouver. So if you're interested in attending that memorial ceremony, where the Nimipu come down from Idaho to memorialize Chief Red Heart and the one young boy who died in captivity down here in the barracks at Fort Vancouver. So that's this Saturday. And finally, I have registration is open for the 4th Annual Thrive Conference. It's for American Indian and Alaska Native youth, ages 13 to 19. And one of the things I don't like about this event is it's limited to 4 youth per tribe or urban area. So it's going to be tough for you to get in on this if you want to. But Thrive Conference, 4th Annual, you can look that up on the internet and get more information, the Thrive Conference. So, as you can see, there's lots of stuff going on around the Portland area for Native people, some good events, and I encourage you to attend those that you can make. And finally, it's another year of salmon coming upriver. We have got a good run of springers coming up. The numbers yesterday, there was 1,500. The day before that, there were 1,700. So we've got a lot of salmon coming over Bonneville Dam. And if the ceremonial fishery has pretty much ended up there, and now it's a subsistence fishery. Celilo had the first salmon feast last weekend, so the river's open if you want to fish for subsistence. We won't know, and for a little while, how well the numbers will be, if there'll be a commercial fishery for spring Chinook or not. So you can visit the Columbia River Intertribal Fish Commission website to find out if they'll have a commercial fishery. And if they do, you'll be able to buy fresh salmon up the river at Cascade Locks and other points along the Columbia. So let's hope for another good fishery this year. And I'll plan on eating a lot of fish if I can. Let's get back to our guest, Quincy Davis, a.k.a. Soul Miner. Documentarian, rapper, video producer. You're a DJ?
No.
Did I? Oh, no.
I produce, compose music.
Okay.
But not DJ, like, live DJ.
Yeah. Well, is it at the point now where you can make a living doing this?
Well, I'm getting there.
The
abundance is flowing.
Good.
I give thanks for that.
Great. And,
I am making a living doing it, but I do freelance video to pay the bills as well.
Oh.
So it's different elements coming together.
Yeah.
But I get to do what I love.
Good.
Support myself.
Yeah, and let's go back to that video that the Portland police starred in. Really, they were looking
did
right in the
good.
camera.
Yeah.
My guy is almost smiling. I thought they knew they were on camera,
Yeah.
but they weren't hiding their faces.
It's funny that I feel like they enjoyed it. So I'll talk a little bit about that. That first night at night, the nighttime shot was when Occupy was evicted, and you could tell they didn't mind being on camera. And I was actually having conversations with people who were working there, and actually there were some interesting conversations. And I'll honestly say that as I was rapping the verse, because I had to do it over and over, rap the verse over and over, as I was walking by these riot police, I swear some of them were listening and some of them were actually kind of feeling the lyrics. I swear. They were actually like,
right.
what's going on here? Because I wasn't, for one, I wasn't like confrontational, like rapping at them, like, you're the problem. I'm just a person saying my words, walking through, doing my thing, And so that was that first night. Now the other footage during the day, where there's a lineup behind me.
On the freeway?
Yeah, it's going on to the Morrison Bridge.
Oh.
That day they weren't playing around. They were, because that was a day where the protesters and the people involved in the Occupy movement were protesting the banks. So they really didn't want them to go across the bridge and stop traffic. And so that was a different vibe.
Oh, yeah. Well, it seems like the riot police are more concerned about interstate traffic than anything else in the world. If you stop traffic on the interstate, that is a big deal.
Definitely.
If you're just walking down Main Street or Broadway, yeah, they can let you do that.
Right.
But if you stop traffic on the freeway, that's a major event.
Definitely. And I think it has to do with, as long as the system keeps running,
That's right.
These days they let people protest, just stay
Free
in their
speech
protest
zone.
lines. Yes. But once the system, there's a clog in this, to keep things running, they don't like that, and that's when they have to impose, their authority, so-called authority.
Mm-hmm.
They have to show we are the authority. To me, it's more of a psychological thing than they're actually concerned, about whatever they're concerned about. But that's another topic.
Well, and the psychology of it is, here they've got all this riot gear on, and no name. They got their no face. They got the shell over their face. They're like the
RoboCop.
Yeah, they're just a bunch of robots that will do whatever they're told to do. Yeah. And that really concerns me, because they've got might, and they've got weaponry, and they've got protection, and from the citizens who they're supposed to protect.
Yeah, and who pay their bills, who pay for them. And that's really interesting to me. I mean, that's what it comes down to is, chain of command. That's what John Trudell talks about. It's how we have to start thinking. We have to think for ourselves, because this system, it works under a system of chain of command. So there's only so much thinking that's actually done. Everything else is just taking orders from someone else. So as long as we all start thinking for ourselves, we can start to balance it out a little bit more.
Oh, yeah.
And the other thing that I think is interesting about that, the RoboCop thing, is that underneath there is a human being, That's just reality. And that human being, I feel like they don't want to do that. They don't want to be told what to do and then have to, do whatever they have to do.
Beat up their friends.
Yeah. In this kind of certain situation. So that's why I think it's important. And in the video, you'll see there's a moment where John Trudell says, "We are human beings," and then it shows that underneath the riot police there is a human being there, And so it's, these are our brothers and sisters. So we know that they want the same thing we want, which is, a way of life where our families are safe and protected, a way of life where we don't have to worry about, violence or, whatever, food, survival. We kind of want the same things. We want to enjoy life, happiness,
Sure.
spend time with our children and our family, community. So this is important. This information is important to get to them, to win over these people, in the system.
Yeah. Well, I understand you went to Bali.
Hmm.
I would love to go to Bali.
It's beautiful.
My daughter went to Bali for a surfing vacation down there and loved it.
Wow, she must be a good server.
Yeah, and she brought me a didgeridoo back
Ah,
from Bali, Indonesia. That was a great gift. I love it.
ah.
So what were you
Beautiful.
doing in Bali, Indonesia?
So I went to Bali and I also went to Java, 2 islands. I spent a lot of time in Ubud, Bali. I went to a Ubud Readers and Writers Festival. So I spoke on a panel talking about my music and stuff and my writing, my poetry. I also connected with local dancers. There's a hip hop scene in Denpasar. And so I connected with the breakdance crew and shot a music video and
Nice.
did some exploring and also shot a documentary while I was there.
No surfing?
Nah, not too much, not any surfing, but maybe next time.
Yeah. Well, now we have one more video to show, and we do, right?
Well,
I think so.
if we want to show one more, we could show the beginning of the electronic press kit video. There is
Yeah.
another section.
Yeah, at the very, well, you had an interview first, and then it started the other section.
Right, with the album
That's
cover.
the one we want, the album cover. Yeah, if you guys can bring that up, we'll lead into that. What's this one about?
Well, I think this is kind of just talking about, let's see, it's sharing some imagery and some video of me and what I do with my music, with
Yeah.
my hip hop, and especially around my debut album, Permission to Shine.
All right, well, let's take a look at that then here. Push the right button, we'll get it up for you people here at Native Nations.
So I'd like to know more about why you go by Soul Miner.
Yeah. My great-grandfather died in the coal mines. And my friend said, he was the coal miner, but you're the soul miner, because that's what you're doing with your music and everything. And that really resonated with me in terms of being someone who, kind of went through a dark place in my life. Some people call it like a rites of passage. Finding my purpose and then being able to emerge from the mines and share the gift.
I'm so money, permission to shine. Living for the cause, gotta give it to you raw. Knowledge is the key, I gotta be like Escobar. Flipping when I speak in the booth, dead sober, tripping off reality, cause I'm a fiend for the truth. Represent 7G and the deepest of roots. When you recognize the harvest, you'll believe in the proof. See, only God knows all the dues I paid, and one day to recognize all the jewels I laid.
Backup singers you got. They are great.
Thank you.
Where did you get the backup singers?
It's a good friend, Nafasaria Scroggins. Amazing talent here in Portland.
Yeah,
Amazing singer.
yeah, that was very good.
So
I
check-
love her voice.
Yeah, check her out, Nafasaria.
Yeah. Well, we are talking to Quincy Davis, also known as Soul Miner. I like that association with coal miner.
Yeah. Yeah. That was, it came to me as I was finishing the first album, see, I mean, I've been going by Quincy Davis for so long, even as a hip hop artist. I always just figured I would release my album and all my work as Quincy Davis. But then when I was nearing the completion of my first album, I was going through actually a recording of me and my friend talking. And she, as I said in the interview, she expressed to me that, you know, my great-grandfather who died in the coal mines, I'm doing something similar, but it's through art form. And, you know, so that's why I'm a soul miner.
Yeah.
So that's where it came from.
Yeah. Cool. Well, do you have any Native American family? Are you tribal member? Or?
No.
No?
I mean, not that I know of.
Just heavily influenced by Native culture.
Just in my heart. You know,
Yeah.
I mean, I say, yes, that is my family. You know, that's
Yeah.
my true family here.
Yeah.
So, but in terms of my blood, I don't really know my full ancestry.
Yeah.
You know, it's possible. I feel a connection to, you know, Mexico. And especially because my mom, right before I was born, my mom was in that area and near the Aztec temples and everything.
Cool.
So I
You
feel
ever
a
been
connection.
down there?
No, but I want to go back.
Yeah, me too. There are some beautiful buildings down there. Amazing Mayan structures. Yeah. I studied anthropology for years. So I got familiar with all these major structures all around the world that have been built, like Angkor Wat and the Taj Mahal, just all those neat old buildings around the world.
Wow.
And Tikal and Central America and Machu Picchu, places like that.
Powerful areas, huh?
Yeah.
Wow.
And I just recently saw some pictures of Cusco, Peru.
Yeah.
And Cusco was another center of the Inca culture. And I didn't know there was a huge rock structure in Cusco that was built by the ancient tribes that lived there before. That it's an amazing structure. It has a big circle in the center and walls guarding it all around, bigger and bigger. And it's on a prominent ridge line looking over the downtown Cusco area. It really looked like a neat place to visit someday.
And they just kind of discovered it? Or it's just not well known?
They built the city around it.
Whoa.
So it's kind of almost lost in the city because there's
see.
so much city around it.
It's right in the middle.
It's right in the middle, yeah. So it's someplace I want to go someday.
Me too.
So I know you're probably working on a documentary right now.
A few?
A few?
Yeah.
What do you got going in your pocket right now? Quincy?
Project-wise, yeah. So I'm working on 2 documentaries right now. One, I mentioned before, it's a Wisdom Keepers documentary where I've been able to connect with these indigenous elders and basically receive teachings. And I have this idea of connecting with the young people, the high school age students. And I'm not sure exactly how it's going to come together, but I sort of have this idea of relating the teachings in a way to where a high school student can understand, you know, maybe by doing a narrative, you know, like having the teachings run parallel with the story that's being told. These are some ideas. So.
Well, and if you get a chance, you might want to interview Calvin Hikokta, who is in the building with us here tonight. Calvin came by to visit the show. He was a former guest of ours, one of my best guests ever.
Wow.
And I would recommend you get to know him. And he's got a really neat program called Touch the Earth, which we've talked about on this show. And Calvin takes families out into the wilderness, out into the woods, and shows them the real world, introduces city kids to what it's like out there in the wilderness. I think it's a great program. We've always supported it. And he's a wonderful elder from Southern Oregon who would have a lot that you could benefit from.
No, that sounds great. And that's what it's about. So I would love to connect with him. Maybe we can talk more.
I'll
about
introduce you right after the show.
that. Perfect. And I think that's so key for the young people. Like we can show documentaries, and we can talk about the teachings and stuff, but it's only when they're really out there in nature, that you can really connect or really be a part of ceremony. And I feel like that is where it's at, because this is what they already know. This is what we already know as human beings. It's inside of us. It's just a matter of awakening that.
Yeah, I see that in my grandkids. They want to go outside. They're outside, they're happy because they know that when they're in the house, they're just like closed in prison. You're locked in. You can't see or do or breathe or even what you really need to see.
And not even that, inside a prison of a screen too.
Oh yeah.
You know what I mean?
Staring at this all the time.
It's all right there. It's wild.
Well, we're kind of running out of time here, although we have about 4 or 5 minutes left. But Quincy, our viewers are probably of different ages. I'm sure we've got some high school kids here viewing us tonight. What kind of advice would you give to kids who you see may be following the path that you used to be on?
Well, I would say, more than anything, trust yourself. Begin to look within yourself rather than everything else out in the world. That because there's so many influences out there, but the only way the real connection, with the Creator or with your path in this life, because obviously you have a gift to share. We all have a gift, and we're all here for a reason on this earth. There's a way to begin to walk that path, and it starts with looking within yourself and your relationship with yourself. So whatever feels right for you to do that. I can't say what that would be specifically. Some people like meditation, some people like going out in nature, some people like boxing or something. There's different ways to find it, but it's Carl Jung. He said, those who look outside dream, those who look inside awaken. So I think that's key. That's been key for me, and that starts a journey. And you don't know, it's so far beyond what we can imagine. How beautiful this life and the gifts the Creator can give us when we begin to walk this path. So it's a blessing, and thank you to the young people for being here and for beginning to take that journey. I'll say thank you, because you're the future leaders.
Mm-hmm. Well, as it was explained to me from the Native perspective, that everybody has a spiritual path to follow. And it may be boxing.
Oh, definitely.
Or it may be nature, or it may be hurting yourself, whatever. People have all kinds of beliefs in all spiritual paths. The key is to find that spiritual path and to follow it, whatever it is. That was the way I was brought up, the teaching I learned about. We're not going to proselytize and say, you should be Washat, you should learn our ways, come and worship with us, we are better than you, or whatever.
Exactly.
It's, you have a spirit path, we have a spirit path, we found ours, you find yours, and you follow it.
Right.
Whatever it is.
And trust that. And that reminds me of when I went to my first lodge, an EP ceremony. That was what these teachers and role models were sharing with me. They said, whatever feels right to you, that's the way to do it. There is no right or wrong way. It's whatever feels right.
Yeah.
And that reminds me of what you just shared.
Yeah. Well, unfortunately, this show must come to an end. All good things must end. But Quincy, I want to thank you a lot for showing up here tonight, taking time out of your busy life to share your life with us, with the viewers, about some things that have a lot of meaning to you.
Thank you.
And we've got your contact information, and people will hopefully from this program be looking you up to get in touch with you. I'll introduce you to Calvin. Thank you very much for watching, everybody. I'm David Liberty. And in case you didn't notice, we're always looking for more crew to help us out with this production. So please consider taking time out of your busy life to help Native Nations put on this production. And we'll be back in May, the third Thursday of the month. We don't know who our guest is going to be yet, but we'll be here. We're having somebody, I've got some people I've been talking to who will probably be here. So thanks again for watching. Thanks for the crew who works behind the scenes to put this show on. And thank you for our guests in-house who came tonight.